Welcome to This Explainer. Whether you're a beginner just starting out or a seasoned pro writing dark romance, you've probably noticed a pretty fascinating paradox. In real life, we can absolutely despise someone for just being slightly rude, right? But in fiction, we will happily stay up until 2 in the morning devouring a book about a highly toxic, morally bankrupt criminal. The polite, totally acceptable guy is left gathering dust on the shelf, while the dangerous anti-hero completely steals the show. So today, we're going to dissect the exact mechanics of how you can build a morally gray hero that readers will absolutely fall in love with. Let's jump right in with a quote that just hits the nail on the head. Author Rina writes, "I was doomed to fall in love with a villain because I know he will put me above everyone else." Honestly, this perfectly captures the incredibly complex, kind of contradictory mindset of the dark romance reader. It's all about that promise of absolute, uncompromising loyalty. To the reader, this character is willing to break literally every conceivable rule just for them. And that specific psychological hook, that is exactly what grips our attention and just refuses to let go. So think of this explainer as your elite developmental editing masterclass. We're not just throwing around tropes, we're breaking down the actual psychological structure needed to build a truly magnetic protagonist from scratch. Here is our agenda for today. 1. Loving villains. 2. The gray psyche. 3. Pillars of sympathy. 4. Fatal mistakes. And 5. The dark ending. Okay, Section 1. Loving villains. Why we crave the dark. Before we can even start building a character, we really need to look at the science behind why readers crave these taboo stories in the first place. Back in 2020, a team led by Jens Kildgaard Christiansen surveyed exactly 1,805 participants. They basically wanted to peek behind the curtain of our fictional engagement. And this massive dataset allowed scientists to actually look at the cognitive dissonance between our real-world morals and what we desperately want in our fiction. What they found was a crucial concept called villain positivity. Now, let's be clear, this absolutely does not mean readers approve of real-world violence. No way. Instead, these fictional narratives act as a completely safe sandbox. It's an environment where audiences can explore absolute power dynamics, taboo themes, and really the darkest facets of human nature, all to achieve a powerful emotional catharsis. And the crazy part, once we actually start enjoying the character, our brains basically turn into eager defense lawyers, enthusiastically defending and justifying all their moral flaws. Moving on to Section 2, the gray psyche, internal mechanics. All right, let's shift our focus to the character's internal structure. Because look, simply slapping some edginess onto a guy or giving him sharp cheekbones, that's a rookie mistake. A truly magnetic character is built around what we call the shard of glass. Slapping some edginess onto a guy or giving him sharp cheekbones, lodged deep in your character's psyche. A truly magnetic character is built around what we call the shard of glass. Imagine a literal invisible shard of glass lodged deep in your character's psyche. Forces them to every single move they make is dictated by trying to avoid power is the absolute only shit. Permanently distorts their vision of their brutal actions. This deep psychological wound they seem forces them to believe a fundamental justified. Something like power is the absolute only shit. Is really a because of this wound, their brutal actions. Well, to them, they seem dark traits with highly attractive magnetic poles. So, for example, you offset cruelty and control with extreme competence and a fierce drive to protect. You balance their deep cynicism with absolute, unwavering loyalty to a personal code, and you temper their cold alienation with that hidden psychological wound we just talked about. If you skew too far one way, you just end up with a monster, but too far the other way, they completely lose their dangerous edge. Section 3. Pillars of sympathy. Building the character. Okay, so we have the psychology down, but how do you actually execute this on the page? There are 3 fundamental steps here, and guys, this is where the true elevated craft of writing dark romance really lies. You need ironclad internal logic, vulnerability expressed through action, and real consequences without instant forgiveness. Let's break these down so you can see exactly how they function. Pillar 1 is all about true gray morality versus cheap, edgy branding. Amateur writing just makes a character dark for the cool factor, you know? And then it constantly invents these secret excuses to let them off the hook. But true gray morality means their actions are driven by a strict, unyielding personal code. The absolute gold standard for this is Cos Brecker from the Six of Crows series. He is constantly trapped in these impossible lose-lose dilemmas between his trauma and his goals, and he genuinely has to make questionable choices, but those choices make perfect sense within his own twisted framework. Now, the crucial point for Pillar 2, vulnerability through action, is perfectly captured in this kind of sentiment. I will burn the whole world to make sure she is safe. True vulnerability in a dark romance isn't some tearful, wordy apology. Not at all. It is a fierce, absolute exception made only for the love interest. Think of characters who exhibit icy cruelty to the entire universe, but manifest a nearly obsessive, protective devotion to one specific person. That staggering contrast, it's incredibly magnetic.
And here we have Pillar 3, consequences. Listen, if your character commits an atrocity, the plot simply cannot enforce instant forgiveness by the next chapter. The actions absolutely must carry weight. There has to be broken trust and real, tangible fallout. In fact, if your reader feels a little bit of discomfort and guilt for still liking the hero after what they've done, that is actually a huge marker of top-tier writing. You want them actively wrestling with their own sympathy.
All right, Section 4, Fatal Mistakes, Troubleshooting Pitfalls. Let's put on our developmental editor hats for a second and look at the 3 absolute killers of gray morality. These will instantly ruin that dark illusion you've worked so hard to build. First up, the explainer monologue. That's when a villain suddenly sounds like a psychology textbook, just analyzing their own trauma out loud. It totally ruins the mystery. Second is broken hero syndrome, where a character's trauma excuses everything, turning them into a passive victim who completely loses their agency. And third, the unearned redemption. That's when the author gets scared of their own character's darkness and just gives them a cheap, sudden moral cleansing without any real sacrifice. To see how to avoid that last mistake, just look at Rin from The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The execution there is phenomenal. As the story progresses, Rin's character arc actually becomes darker and more devastating. The author leans completely into the darkness and categorically refuses to just erase Rin's terrible choices with a magic eraser just to make the reader comfortable. Respecting the character's dark trajectory, that is exactly what earns reader respect. Section 5. The Dark Ending. Satisfying Romance Payoff. So, how do you deliver the payoff that readers demand without ruining the character's dark essence at the very last second? Well, the ideal ending in a dark romance isn't the hero suddenly turning into a good guy who volunteers at a dog shelter. A true dark ending is when both characters just stop pretending. They fully accept their shared, twisted reality. The heroine isn't fixing him. She is accepting his claws, because she knows those exact claws are what will protect her from the rest of the world. The union isn't sealed with roses, guys. It's sealed in blood and absolute devotion. To wrap up our explainer today, here is your final diagnostic checklist. Authors, I want you to stress test your protagonists against this. Do they have a fundamental wound? Does their selfish desire conflict with their true need? Do they operate on a strict personal code? Do they actually show vulnerability through action and real risk? And crucially, did they truly earn their ending through consequences and pain? Because if you can check all these boxes, you've got a truly magnetic character on your hands. Understanding these mechanics allows you to craft characters that just refuse to leave the reader's mind. It's all about exploring those gray spaces with intention and psychological honesty. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder as you head back to your manuscripts. Which of your heroes forces you and your readers to truly rethink the boundaries of good and evil? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy writing.